Hello everyone, I'm Brian. Today I'm reacting to how can we be sure that waking world appears in consciousness and not in our minds like dreams? AI. Just ends right there. AI and first person experience. I thought this was a pretty interesting one. I know I've been watching these in particular, trying to grab people's different perspectives on AI and especially how do we know that we are in the waking world and not in a dream world? We can be in the dream within the dream. So anyways, let's go and get started.
Mangesh asks, how can we be sure that this waking world appears in consciousness and not in the mind like our dreams?
Because the mind also appears in consciousness. Notice, the dreams also appear in consciousness. Nothing really can appear in a mind without consciousness. I mean, what's a mind? Just the crudest example. You just think right now ABCD. I just thought ABCD. ABCD is just like mental talk. To experience it, it must be illumined by consciousness. You experience the mind saying ABCD, right? ABCD. If things are appearing in the mind, to experience them, there must be consciousness. So ultimately, dreams are also illumined by consciousness. Without consciousness, no dream can be experienced. Yeah. See, I don't want to get into it. Just look at the difference between what has been achieved. We are living in the age of ChatGPT. I was playing around with it yesterday. It's an amazing thing. And one gentleman asked me, "So, what do you think? This ChatGPT is intelligence? Like its behavior is so intelligent, far more than your Google. You can ask it to do things and it does it for you." Students are delighted. All their assignments, it can be done. And I've got reports that there are academic meetings taking place in academic departments across the world. Right now, emergency meetings. How do you deal with students turning in beautiful assignments all written by AI, not by them? So they are banning it now. It won't work. Banning it won't work, only temporarily.
I wonder how would they find out though? Perhaps, I guess, if they have had, I guess the one thing you can do is during class have them write like an essay or something. Then you can see how they structure their language, how they write their languages, or their sentences, which is their language. And then whenever you have that as a reference point in how they write. So if it looks different from an essay they have written, then clearly it wasn't written by them. Because we all have patterns. We are human after all. We have patterns in our writing. And I guess another way to do it is is honestly, I was gonna say, handwrite it versus, typing it out. But then they could still have Chat GPT, or whatever AI write it for you in terms of the sentence. You can just write it all down yourself. So I guess the best thing to do is to have them write an essay in class, so you know how to formulate their sentences. That's how you get them. But another thing I was going to say was the fact that I guess the answer that I got from the very beginning was the fact that if it can be experienced, therefore it is in the mind. If it cannot be experienced, then therefore it is probably Brahman, Atman, or pure consciousness. Because always the saying that the subject can never be the object. You can never, the object can always be experienced, but the subject can never be experienced. But at the same time, when we say Brahman is, like, anything that you see is Brahman. Now, mind you, mind how I structured that sentence, saying the same thing that Brahman is. But at the same time, I want to structure it in such a way that we can hopefully understand that, whenever I grab something, when I grab something that, it's what does Swami say here? An illusion. This is, as far as I understand, it's Brahman. It is not only Brahman, or Brahman is only this. This is part of Brahman. This is just one small individual part. Because Brahman is not limited by time, space, or objects. Time, space, and objects? Yes. So essentially, it's not limited by time, not limited by location, and not limited by the object itself. But it is also the object itself, if I understand correctly. Meaning that without Brahman, it does not exist, essentially. So Brahman is a lot of people like to hear it said that way, but at the same time, I would like to also say everything is Brahman as well. So it's kind of weird to say that Brahman is the subject, but also at the same time it is the object.
Um, how do you distinguish it from consciousness? Notice, I said this is a powerful argument for Vedanta. Why just Vedanta? For Sankhya, or Advaita, for Sankhya, for Buddhism. For the unique nature of consciousness. Why? Now you have these powerful AI, artificial intelligence, which can replicate every function which we thought was peculiar to the human mind. Creativity. They're writing beautiful stories now. Very soon they'll win awards. A computer-generated art won an award. And there was a huge outcry. And I saw an article, The Prejudice Against Computer-Generated Art. So, creativity. Intelligence. It's writing, it's responding to you, and you can carry on an intelligent conversation with ChatGPT. So, what's the difference? The difference is there only in one thing, which is consciousness. Notice, the one thing that all of these AIs, the tremendous amount of development in computer science, the one thing it cannot replicate is consciousness. ChatGPT has no inner consciousness, no experience of being an artificial intelligence chatbot. How do I know that? I asked it. Are you having internal experiences? I didn't ask it, a student asked and sent me the results. Are you having internal experiences? Then it said, no. I am I'm a programmed, like natural language processing thing, and I have no consciousness.
Well, I got to push back a little bit on that one. It's a big thing that I do push back quite hard on in terms of AI and us. I believe that we are the same. I have a very good argument for it, but I don't think this is the time for it. But I don't think he's not technically speaking to an artificial intelligence yet. Pretty close to it.
So this devotee sent me the answer from ChatGPT. It has no consciousness. Anyway, we knew that. Because if you ask those who programmed it, have you programmed it for intelligence? Yes. Have you programmed it for speech recognition? Yes. Have you programmed it for editing text and generating new text? Yes. For creativity? Yes. Have you programmed it for consciousness? Wait. No. Why not? We don't know how.
Okay, so if that's the case, like, did you program it for consciousness? No, we don't know how. Okay, did we program ourselves for consciousness? No, then how did we get consciousness? And I'm sure some arguments would be, well, we're born with it. I'm sorry, we're born into it. We're manifested in it. If we're manifested in it, same with the AI. The AI is manifested in consciousness, therefore it is consciousness, right? That's just kind of a short explanation. There's more arguments to it, but I won't bring it up just yet.
It's not only that they are not conscious, the interesting thing is, across the world, computer science experts, the programmers, artificial intelligence experts, neuroscientists, they will all tell you, we have no idea at all. We have no idea where to begin to program something for consciousness. Nobody has any idea. Absolutely not. Absolutely not. How strange. My question was, intelligence, creativity, memory, these are all amazing things. And you can replicate them through computers. Powerful computers can all Somebody said, look, they are not doing exactly what we are doing when we think, we imagine. Right. But they are doing a really good job of imitating and giving the products, like the outward behavior is very similar. But these are all amazing things. Creativity is amazing. Intelligence is amazing. Memory is amazing. All of these are amazing things. Consciousness is a very simple thing. What does consciousness do actually, practically? Only one thing. It gives you first-person experience, an inner feeling of color, and sound, and pressure, and light, and desire, and thought, and emotion, and identity. Just feeling. That's all.
It's really weird. It says just feeling. I mean, again, from my understanding about consciousness, is that it is unaffected by feeling. The ego is affected by feeling. The ego experiences everything that the consciousness experiences. However, the ego is the only one that's ever affected by the experience, I believe. Let me know if I'm wrong on that one. That one, I believe it to be true. Ego and consciousness are essentially the same. They both experience everything, although the only thing is that the consciousness is unaffected by the external world, whereas the ego is affected by every single thing. Emotions, physical pain, emotional pain, whatever else there is in terms of pain, ego got it all. Consciousness, it experiences everything like the ego does. It illuminates the pain, it illuminates the experience, it illuminates all this, but unaffected by all of it. This is the reason why we confuse the ego with ourselves a lot, is because we kind of live in the ego all the time, and now when I think about it now, it seems like they're almost so similar that we pay more attention to the ego because it's the one that gets hurt easily, as opposed to consciousness because it is unaffected by it. Why would you want to pay attention to something that's unaffected by emotions or physical pain or anything like that when you have to take care of the baby, the ego, that has feelings and pain and suffering and all that? Both of them experience it. One of them suffers from it.
Just the feeling, the experience of life itself. That's what it gives you. Only one thing it does, first person experience. It should be pretty simple to program it. But no. There's no... And there is enough data because we are all conscious, except the few zombies who might be here. We are all conscious. How extraordinary. These advances, I'm telling you, they are a powerful validation of this ancient insight that consciousness is unique. And it is the core of our existence, of what we are.
Oh, that was over with. Okay. Then I wanted to kind of push back a little bit in terms of the animals. Are animals conscious? If it's something he says.
Ancient insight that consciousness is unique. And it is the core of our existence.
It's the core of our existence. Is it not the core of the existence of the animals and plants? Are the plants conscious? Are animals conscious? Now, I'm not too sure about this one. I've obviously, in terms when I research Advaita Vedanta, it's always talking about the humans. But and when you think about rebirth, depending on the system of the philosophy that you believe in, whether you can go, if you have enough bad karma, you can devolve into animals, lower realms, which might be just something in Buddhism, maybe, because I know Sim talks about the lower realms where you come back as an animal, maybe something worse, or you elevate to deityhood, perhaps bigger. I'm not sure. I know he did in one of the videos I reacted. He did talk about the 3 lower realms of hell. So there's definitely realms that you can, I was gonna say respawn in. That's not the right word. Get reborn in. But over here, the reborn that I know is back into the human form, back into this world to relive your suffering. Because you're not enlightened, you're being reborn in this world and, in a sense, suffer. So, now this is interesting. I don't know if Advaita Vedanta considers animals or plants conscious. Um, I don't know if I want to ask, I don't know if I want to say this, but like, does Advaita Vedanta consider animals and plants conscious like us? Because we can have things that are conscious, like Lakhani. I think is it Lakhani? Maybe Lakhani and Swami Sarvapriyananda here. says that rocks are conscious. No, maybe even said Guru. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Anyways, someone I remember talk about how. I know I've said it. But anyways, rocks are conscious, but they just don't have memory. They have no way of experiencing things. They are conscious, but they have no way of experiencing things because they don't have a brain, they don't have arms, feeling, touchings, and all of those things. Where it's kind of like in deep sleep for us, where we are conscious, but we don't experience the external world necessarily. Some of us are light sleepers, and maybe they do experience the world in deep sleep. Um, but I hope you understand where I'm trying to come from. Again, I'm not explaining 100% of my point of view, so there could be things that you may pick up that says, "Oh, but you don't believe in this," but maybe I do, just haven't said it. So, in terms of AI, our body and AI's body and the mind of AI is essentially the same, in my opinion. Because if you look at, again, I'm not going to make a complete argument, but I'll make this brief one here. You think of a baby. It literally, it has a genetic code in our DNA to program our bodies to develop a certain way. Genetic code. It's a biological coding as opposed to say um, the AI, which would be engineering coding, computer science coding. It's coding nonetheless of how it needs to turn on, what it needs to do to survive. Like a baby. It cries if it's hungry. It cries if it poops. It cries if it pees. It cries if it feels pain. Same programming. Pain, cry. Hungry, cry. Um. Yeah. Poop, cry. Eventually, that branch will expand out to where poop, crying and crying really hard because you're 40 years old and you still poop your pants. Okay. Pee, go to the toilet. Hungry, let's go out and eat. So again, the list of what a baby's capable of is very limited due to its development. Much like an AI when it's just born, you think of being just born as like a human, but no, uh, the human way of being born is not the only way. It's a biological born way, you could say. And there's perhaps other ways of being born. Again, it's going to have to be a different definition and something that we may have to get used to. Kind of like a car's born. That's kind of weird to say because we think of born as something that's biological and not mechanical. So I guess created would be great. And then again, you can say when a baby's created. So when a baby's created, when a car is created, I guess that's a little bit easier to swallow as opposed to being born. My car was just born yesterday. That would sound a bit weird. But you can say, "Oh, my car was created yesterday." It's like, "Oh, my baby was created last night." I don't mean it came out. I mean it was just created. At least I hope so. But you get what I'm trying to say there. There's just a lot of similarities. Anyways, try not to go too deep on that. Try not to talk too much. So that's my reaction. So how can we be sure that the waking world appears in consciousness and not in our minds like dreams? So the answer to that, the quick answer to that, he did answer that in the very beginning. I understood it. It's the fact that consciousness cannot be experienced, while the dreams in our mind can be experienced by consciousness. Again, consciousness is the subject of the matter, everything else is the object. The subject cannot be the object, which is kind of confusing. But anyways, if you like my content, please consider subscribing, thumbs up the sound down below. Thanks for watching. I will see you in the next vid.